You're listening to the Music Business Breakthrough Podcast with me, your host, Grammy-nominated artist and certified trauma-informed success coach, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. For years and years, I avoided co-writing because I thought that it was just going to be this complicated process that was going to be awkward and with different intentions and different outcomes and creative clashes. And I just thought it was too much of a headache. Lo and behold, when I decided to release my fourth record and have every single song be a duet and a collaboration from the writing standpoint, my mind was blown with what sort of possibilities and doors opened up. So I wanted to share a couple tips and tricks on how to make the most of co-writing and collaborating. The reason co-writing turned out to be so great is not only did I create amazing friendships, I was able to really connect with other artists on a really intimate, different level than just having a conversation or meeting up at a networking event. A lot of these artists also opened new doors for me, and I was able to open some doors for them. There is this definite cross-contamination of opportunities that was so beautiful. Setting up the co-write can be kind of tricky, but a great way is to go into different communities, online or offline, going to conference, joining a beautiful mastermind like Amplify, hint, hint, www.inthekey.co/amplify if you want to get in a really high-end mastermind for low cost. And just reaching out and saying, hey, I'm looking to do this for this purpose. Just being casual about the invitation. Sometimes there's someone specifically that you really want to co-write, and then you are going to have to pitch them. And go back to the episode on pitching to really powerfully pitch this person and make sure that they feel empowered to answer yes or no as well. So once you get the co-write locked in, you want to have it scheduled, check in, even if they say yes. Don't just rely on the yes. People have got a lot of stuff going on. Some people have more integrity than others around their calendars, but that's okay. That can be on you to follow up and say, hey, I'm looking forward to our session next week. Hey, are we still on for this Thursday? Hey, I'm going to be arriving at 4:00. That still works for you. Just checking in and making sure that you're top of mind and that the session actually happens. That's a big part of co-writing. So once you get into the room, how do you even get started? This can be some of the most awkward moments in a musician's career, is just getting started inside of a co-writing session. I speak from experience until I kind of figure this out after a lot of trial and error. A great way to break the ice is just talk about what's going on in life, but then also say, okay, what do you want to come out of this? In a perfect world, like what would this session provide for you? And get really real with what you want out of it. Is it because you're working on licensing and you want to be working with someone who's gotten some TV placements? Is it because you want to release a new album and you want them to be featured on it? Are they doing an album and you want to be featured on their album? So finding out what's going on for them right now, what are the opportunities that you and they both can bring to the table? Or is it just an exercise in co-writing and in collaborating and you're just curious to see if this could go somewhere down the road, which is also totally fine. There doesn't have to be a really specific music business related intention for the intention to be writing a great song. Once you figure out what the intention is, then you're going to think about, are there any specific parameters that you have to hit for this intention? For example, if someone said, oh, well, I'm writing a bunch of songs for this film and it's got to have this feel and they've got to be 2.5 minutes and they need to have a chorus that does this, like know what the parameters are that you're working inside of so that you don't have to worry about editing too much later after learning about these parameters. So check that first before you do anything else. If there aren't any parameters and you can just write whatever, which to me is much harder when it's a complete blank slate, then a great question to start with is, well, what's going on in your life? And you think that that's like a personal question and it's not going to yield anything. I've had some crazy co-writing sessions where I was like, first of all, I thought I was out of my league and I was like sitting with this huge famous person and I asked that question and they immediately started to talk really emotionally about this recent breakup. And we wrote this gorgeous song about not knowing why. And it was such a beautiful experience. And for me to be able to hold that space for them to express themselves and then go back and forth musically was such a gift. I got set up with another co-writer, a really young writer, where I was sort of the master songwriter coming in. And I asked the same question in the same way. And this really young teenager told me that they couldn't believe their best friend had gotten a nose job. She even said like, oh man, like what did she say? She said something like Marilyn Monroe would be so upset. And I was like, that's a great like basis of a line. And we ended up taking that and turning it into a whole song that got on her new album. And it was a really fun way to talk about something that's like, how do you talk about your disappointment about something like that without feeling guilty or like you're shaming them. So it was a really cool way to get out what was there in a creative, expressive way. So that question is my money question. What's going on for you in your life right now? And that can open up a whole bunch of stuff. The thing is, you have to be willing to answer it for yourself too. Sometimes it takes you being vulnerable answering that for them to open up, depending on how you ask it. A lot of times people just want to dig in, but if you're willing to lead by example, that can be even more powerful and get you the results that you're looking for the particular co-writing session. I hope this was helpful. I know this was a short one, but I'll see you in the next episode.